Right shoulder.
All right, we are live. It's Tuesday night, the Monica Brandt Show, and I'm your host, Monica Brandt. So I am just floored by my special guest tonight. I've been looking over his stuff. I've known him for quite a few years, and this guy does not sleep. He does not ever take a smile off his face, and he has a huge resume. And I'm sure that my introduction here is not quite enough to talk about all that he does, but I'm going to give it a good go here. All right. So my guest tonight is a competitive elite OCR racer with hundreds of podium finishes in Spartan races, as well as he is a Spartan death race finisher. We'll have to talk about that one, right? He's founder of the AntiCamp, where he trains athletes all around the world, all different sizes, ages, fitness levels, competitive, non-competitive. He is a Spartan DEKA program director, Spartan RAM director of education, Spartan Up podcast DECA series co-host. He served in the Navy, so thank you, Yancy, for serving in the Navy. Almost said Navy. Oh my gosh, tongue-tied. He's a father and a husband, and in my book, he is a current, very modern-day superhero. And I think possibly AI is formed and they're functioning after my very good friend and my special guest tonight, Yancy Culp. So, Claudia, I know you have something special cooked up for us, so let's see.
Between the YC and JC, there's a big lightning bolt. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly going to nail down how to celebrate fitness today. I'm wearing my Spartan DECA staff shirt today. JC and I don't like to admit it too often, but we've got 55 years of combined experience loving on the fitness industry, coaching classes, personal training, large group, and everything in between. And I always told every client, you may not have the certification, but every one of you have a coach in you. Every one of you have an opportunity to be a coach. And that can simply mean that, hey, Susie holds me accountable. I hold Susie accountable. You know, it's like, I'm going to be there tomorrow. I'm showing up. I signed up. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be at that class. You're in coach mode there.
I love it. Claudia, my show producer, Claudia, just does beautiful work and really highlights you fantastically. Hi, Yancy.
Hello, I was not expecting that. And that almost brought a tear. As I recently found out that I'm kind of Claudia's coach, and I did not know that was just that's one of the best intro. I'd say that's the best intro I've ever had on any show like this or any podcast I've ever done. So super cool. Much love, my friend.
She is talented. I'm so thankful. We've known each other. So I've known Claudia probably since 2014 now. And we reconnected in 2020. So one of my blessings from 2020. So speaking of blessings, how has 2020 and 2021 been for you, Yancy? Because I know you always turn everything that maybe seems down into super positive, awesome. So let's talk about your last year and a half.
Well, as we were kind of briefly chatting about right before we went live, I think it's so important to, you know, what I found myself going through in 20 was things that were stripped away from me. I found myself saying that, okay, it feels weird because I've lost you, Monica. Is that right? I don't see you anymore.
Yep. Wait, people can just focus on you, Yancy.
It threw me off. As you went away, my friend.
That's so I can sit back and stretch and yawn. I'm just kidding.
things we took for granted. You know, they were, and sometimes when you just have it all the time, we fail to realize that, oh my gosh, I have all these wonderful things in my life, and they were taken away. And it's like things like racing and being able to sign up for something and keep, I'm the type of person that always keeps something on the calendar, keeps me accountable for my fitness. And none of us were doing that. And we were missing so many things. So I think it's important as we slowly start to get COVID a little more in the rearview mirror, at least in some places across the United States, that we look back and say, oh, as I get something back, that, you know, the blessing of having that back. And the kids and I and Amy, we did enjoy leaning in on some awesome extra time together at the house. You know, we're always going 90 miles an hour. My wife is as busy as me, if not busier. And we have very active kids. And there was just a lot more time. We found all four of ourselves together. And we also are going to look back at that time as an amazing opportunity. So you're right. I'm always going to put a positive spin on everything. COVID's been brutal on so many across the world, but we're going to get through this. Oh, you rock stars, listeners.
Right. We have to. How old are your kids now? I know I haven't asked that question in a while.
Lily is 14. She is an 8th grader, Cedar Park Middle School. And my son Scout is 10. He's a 4th grader at Westside, and they love sports, and they're just wonderful, happy kids. I had a friend that had a baby recently, and I said, dude, I'm not lying to you when I say it gets better. It always gets better. 14 was better than 13. And it's a roller coaster ride sometimes, but I love my kids right where they are at today. And I know Amy would say the exact same thing.
That's awesome. And then you and Amy have been married how many years now?
July 7th, 2001. We are coming up on our 20th.
What?
Today. Amy's birthday is in 3 days. We have an awesome year this year. And so, yeah, 20 is right around the corner.
Yeah.
For us.
That's awesome. My husband's birthday is tomorrow, so they must have some good things in common because they're both great people.
How's Mr. Brad doing?
Yeah, he's good. He's traveling, so he's not even going to be here. It was his 50th birthday too, tomorrow. So we're celebrating another time.
I think it's only fitting that you ended up with a horse, man.
I know. I know. Awesome. So, okay. So let's go back a little bit I want to hear about Yancy. Yeah. Okay. First of all, you and I have known each other since 2011. So we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary of friendship, which the first time I met you, you kicked my butt at one of the Kick Most Butts episodes for Austin Fit Magazine. So how fitting is that one of the people that I think about and admire the most, and is a dear friend to me, kicked my butt for the very first time when we met. And for real too. And of course, you've just been a tremendous amount of support to me over the years. You have helped me so many different times. It's like I can always call you and you always give me some kind of awesome feedback or something of value, something I can take away with. And you're always so generous to be that person for me. And I know I'm not the only one that you do that for. So it's amazing, just knowing that you take care of so many people. So I want to go back, but, before I met you, obviously. And I just want to hear about how you were raised, where were you raised, and how did you become this awesome human being that you are today?
I had the wonderful opportunity to grow up basically on several different farms in small town Texas. And I grew up working very hard. You hear about, the kids that grow up on the farm, they're hard workers. And that's all I knew was working hard. And I had two wonderful parents who are, I'm very blessed. They're both still alive and I love them to death. And, I always say that I'm very lucky. And I mean that because not everybody grows up with two loving parents that served my sister and I and served us hard. We worked, we learned the value of hard work and the value of earning a dollar and respecting other people and having taught morals, ethics, and values. And it's just it was a blessing. And I tell, you know, Amy and I have had the wonderful opportunity to coach. You know, we have with our church, we've had small groups and all kinds of things. And we always say it's just raising kids is one of the most amazing blessings we'll ever have. And we are serving the next in line. And I know that, you know, the wonderful opportunity you get with Deja, and just every time we get to pour into them, when we're long gone one of these days, what they will be able to do. And so long story short, my parents just poured into us, and my dad is absolutely my hero. My mom is not my biological mother, but she, to all the to stepmoms and stepdads out there, you are amazing people, because my mom, dang it, I'll probably tear up here.
Aww.
I do it every time.
It's okay. It's
because she's amazing.
Yeah.
When my dad and my biological stepmom split up, I was born up in Canada. They came back down and they split up, and then about a year and a half, 2 years later, he married my mom, and because she truly is my mom. And you know, she is just, it just goes to show that it doesn't take that blood connection to create an everlasting bond. So I just have two of the greatest parents. My dad was the one that really got me into fitness. I always tell the story of, he was always creating challenges for us. And I know I've been very active in sports and fitness my whole life because of kind of the way Dad raised me. And we had this farm that when I was a little bitty guy, he would take me on runs. And early on, when I was like elementary and in early middle school, he was faster than me. I mean, Dad was an amazing runner. And I would cut the corners. So these four corners of our big pasture. So we would kind of stay together. We always had a bunch of points where we would meet back up. And then there was a couple years where we were running together. And then when I was in high school and my dad was getting a little older and I was super fast back then, we changed. My dad was cutting the corners we stayed together. So, you know, we had this long run of just he would build obstacle courses for us, and cousins and friends would come over, and it was just always about fun competition. But there was always a lot of hard work, and, you know, it was sun up to sundown sometimes. And it was a typical growing up on a farm, and you know, we had 600-acre lease with cattle and horses, and we had all just the farm life, you know, and I loved it. It was one of those things where when you're brutal, true serum honest, you know, when you're 18, you couldn't wait to get away, but the memories are amazing. And I know I've carried that work ethic with me for so much of my life, and just a lot of smiling around the dinner table and just being around two happy people growing up. So they didn't have a lot of money. You know, it was, we were, I think there was probably times you probably even say we were poor, but man, we had everything we could have ever needed in life. So.
Wow, I love that. I love that. In fact, you know, I grew up in the country as well, and my brother and I, you know, Philip. So it's been about a week and a half, I guess. We went out to where we grew up in Castroville, out on an old country road, and there was a surprise retirement party for one of our friends there. And it was so funny because they said it's a drive-by. So we were like, are we supposed to stop or whatever? So my brother and I, you know, we drive in his new truck, and we go out there, and we thought we're just going to drive up the road past where we lived. We lived on 20 acres and the horses in the barn and all that. And we're going to go just see the rest of the road and see what's out there, because there's just farmland and all the acreage where my brother used to work for the farmers, pulling up sunflowers, dragging irrigation pipes, all the things that you do in those kind of places, hauling hay and driving tractors. And then I would ride my horses up in the woods. So we drove all the way up, and there's like so many homes there now. And it's so sad. All the woods are gone, but our road is still there. And of course our old home is there. So we just had such a great time going down that memory lane. And then we got back over to where the party was, and it was just so fun. Like surprising our neighbor and just spending time in that environment. And like you said, like when you grow up like that, the memories can just be so amazing and have, and then also create that work ethic. And that's obviously, where you got your work ethic besides seeing your dad and being raised by them. Mm-hmm. And I love that story about you running with your dad. I have memories of riding horses with my mom and just doing all the barn stuff and, those kind of memories. So it's cool.
If I wasn't running with my dad, I was on the back of a horse with my mom in some parade or the grand entry to a rodeo. I spent probably half of my childhood on the back of a lineback dun gelding named King George.
Cool.
And, that just amazing memories. So there's a picture of my mom and I. She's probably a quarter to half Indian, and my stepmom, who's my mom,
right.
We're in the grand entry to a rodeo, and she's got the handprint on the back of the horse, and she's got her Indian stuff on, and I'm riding behind her, and just an amazing childhood with two rock star parents.
That's awesome. Well, wait till your kids start talking about you guys, you and Amy. That's gonna be.
We can be a hot mess sometimes, but we're doing our best.
Well, that's all we all can do. But okay, so I know you were involved in all of the sports growing up. What were your favorite sports growing up?
Well, I'm not a real big guy, but I freaking loved football. I cherished it.
And what position did you play?
I played small town Munster, Texas football. So if everybody played or you didn't have a team, so I never came off the field. I was a safety and I was a receiver. I played tight end. I mean, I'm 5'9", 165 right now. I was 140 soaking wet senior year of high school, and probably 5'7" on a good day on my tippy toes. But that's you played, and biggest guy on our team was probably 185. But I loved football so much, and I was better at track, and I didn't love that, but I was good at it. So you just played all the sports. I was a power lifter and played a little basketball, and I was always cross country, and there was never a time when you weren't participating in sports from probably third grade through senior year. And then I always tell the story. I stomped onto the campus, University of North Texas, had a track scholarship, and here I am at that time, probably 5'9", 140. I'm like wishing it would have been a football scholarship. Who was I kidding? I was just, my dad was really good. My dad was a really good runner, and my biological mother was, I think had pretty good genetics, and I was a runner. So, but you know what? It's a lifetime sport, and I've never gone probably more than 2 days in my life since third grade where I haven't done something using my love of running. And I have grown to really fall in love with being able to move my body and get out and run. So,
well, there's so many wonderful attributes that come from running, and I know for myself, if I get out there and for me, I have to be kind of on the track because I'm not, you know me. No. I'm not like a huge fan of that distance stuff.
Girl, you can move.
So I
let me just tell the listeners, maybe this has never come up on the Monica Brandt show before. Let me tell you folks, this young 51, I'm 50.
Right now I'm 50.
Yeah, right now 50. This 50-year-old could step on a track right now at high school meets all over the country and compete with those girls right now. And folks, and I'm not exaggerating. I've watched it happen. She is a cyborg. She's fast. When I met her, I did my research. Like, whoa, state champion in the 4x4 relay. I bet she still. A few months later, she quickly showed that she still has it, and she's got a bunch of medals behind her that show it. So, you listeners, if she's never brought it up, she's crazy fast.
You're cute. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay. So you go to college and you've got a track scholarship, and what are you running there in track? What are your races?
I was in high school. My best events were, I was third at the state championship, the state meet in Texas in the 1600 meter, the mile. And so I was a middle distance runner. You know, I could step down and run the 4x4. I did that a lot in high school. You know, after you run the 2 mile in the morning and the mile, and then 5 minutes later you're on the mile relay. So that was, I always had that. So I was, you know, a lot of milers can run a decent 400 meter in high school. So the 400 meters is probably the shortest I could do. But my best event throughout my life, you know, if I had to say what, if I'm properly trained, is probably the 800, to be honest. But
I was going to ask you about that race, because that
Mhm.
seems, you know, to me, you don't,
painful.
as much as I've known you, like, I don't see you as that 400, like all like the crazy 400, and I don't see you as that mile. So to me, and my, you know, my own thoughts, I always thought you were 800 runner. Of course, I know you do Spartan and all of that, and I want to get into that. But like on the track, to me, you seem like perfect for that 800, which is a really hard race too.
Yeah, and I never really got to quite figure that out until my 30s, and here I am late in my freshman year college, and funny true story. My friends and I, the Persian Gulf War had cranked up, and my friends and I were sitting in a parking lot in Denton, Texas.
Oh yeah,
Strip Center parking lot. And we look up, and there's the recruiting stations: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. And I'm telling true story when I say this, not exaggerating. I had never thought. I mean, grew up in a family with, my grandfather was a full bird colonel in the Marine Corps, and my other grandfathers had served, 3 grandfathers, and but I never thought about joining myself. On the spot, me and my 2 friends decided we're going to join the military. Not exaggerating. And that day, we walked into the Navy recruiting office, and I went home that night and told my parents that I'm joining the Navy. Here I am, you know, 1 year into school. My running was improving, and I've just always been that. I've always been the kind of guy, to a fault, that, you know, the ADD can get the best of me, and I'm like, well, I know I'm doing this right now, but guess what? We're getting ready to try a new journey, and not too many. You know, there's a little bit of a process, but about 3 or 4 months later, I'm in Great Lakes, Illinois. We call it Great Mistakes, and I'm in naval boot camp and going to become a helicopter mechanic in the U.S. Navy. So, funny true story. People are like, what do you mean you just looked up and saw the sign? It's like, yeah, we walked in and said we want to join. So anyway, I got a little off track there. Sorry.
No. But that's an interesting part, you know, and I thank you for the service that you did, because it takes people like you to help, you know, make the military happen, and the things happen along the way. So you added to that part of the years and that you were in. So, did you ever, in those 4 years while you were in the Navy, did you ever go, why did I do this? Or was that just once you started and said yes, and you don't look back and you don't think about those kind of things, because that could be just your nature. Like once you decide, well, I decided I'm here, there's no regrets.
I was plugged back into my childhood, as far as 7 days a week, just working, and it was all interesting, and it was never monotonous. We were always on the go, like most in the military are. And I mean, if you didn't know how to work when you join, you're going to learn how to work. And I knew how to work. I knew how to grind. And it was 4 amazing years. I probably would have stayed in, but I got a phenomenal job opportunity. I was just, you know, I've always had 2 or 3 things going on. And I actually started working for a company my last year in, and moonlighted with them, and kind of got, I got issued the collateral duty of being a fitness coach to take care of the people that were a little unfit. They weren't taking care of their physical readiness. And they're like, well, you're fit. You ran track in college, and
you know what to do.
So they put me in charge of keeping people from getting kicked out of the Navy and keeping them fit. And that's when I fell in love with fitness. But to answer your question, my time in the Navy was magical. Oh my gosh. It's almost one of those things where, and I know there's been times of war when people have lost their lives, and much love to every single person that's ever served. But if we could find a way where every single person could realize the power of that team being together, where everybody, I kind of compare it to, and I know some might disagree with me, but I kind of compare it to to that football locker room where, you know, I'm a coach for a local team here, and man, there's every race, every size, every attitude, different personalities. They're all in there together. And for that moment, nothing else matters but supporting your team. And in the Navy, there were some times where we're off the coast in a, you know, 90 days, you see nothing but water, and you're doing 7 days a week, 16-hour days, night operations, and it's crazy. And if you're not an insanely tight team, people are dying and helicopters going off the side of the ship, and it's a disaster. Stuff goes bad real quick if you're not on that team. So there's certain things in life that break down all those things that separate people, and they're like, whoa, we're together. We don't see anything but supporting each other. So I saw a lot of that in the Navy, and I still have some good friends, and you know, so yeah, it was an amazing time for me.
My goddaughter Deja is a junior in high school right now, and she's looking at military. So we've had a couple different conversations. We've had a recruiting meeting where we've got some phone calls that we're going to do still with some different people. And it's just kind of an idea right now. She's still, you know, finishing her junior. So we're just looking into everything and just trying to be supportive and pray about it and ask the Lord to guide and produce where she's supposed to be. If it's trying to do the academy route, which, you know, is crazy. Like, wow, that would be amazing if that could happen for her. She'll be the first one to graduate in her family, graduate high school, and much less if, you know, moving into something else. So this is exciting, and it's fun to hear your enthusiasm for what you did, and just to, you know, think about that. Maybe she'll need to have a conversation with you sometime.
I'd love to do that. You know, I have the wonderful opportunity to coach a lot of youth, and I tell them that it doesn't matter where you are. Maybe you're working behind the desk, you're behind the counter at 7-Eleven. I tell kids all the time, you know, when I'm coaching sessions, I'm like, raise your hand if you're being forced to play this sport, or raise your hand if you're forced to work right here, right now. In most cases, people have said that, you know, I'm going to apply and go to work there. I'm going to try to make this team. When you're not being forced to be somewhere, you need to remind yourself every day, is like, I chose to do this. I'm going to be the best version of myself today. And until I'm gone, even if it's my last day, I'm going to knock today out of the park. I'm going to own today and be the best version of myself. And when you wake up with that attitude every day of like, don't let your feet hit the floor in the morning until you're ready to dominate the day, good things happen. And at a minimum, you're going to be in charge of your energy and your personality that day. You're going to bring good, positive, optimistic energy to your team and the people around you, and you're going to lift people up. And I'll be the first to say, you know, I'm a few beers short of a six-pack. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, never have been, but I've accomplished a lot of things I've accomplished in life because I know, like I said, I won't let my feet hit the floor in the morning until I say I'm going to be a good version of myself today. People are going to enjoy my energy. They're going to want to be around me and want me on their team because of how I tackle the day, how I approach the day. And that's a quality that you're not going to learn in any high school or college class. That's something that you can just say, hey, I'm gonna own that today. And there's almost no team out there that couldn't use more of those people. So and every youth out there, Deja and all of them have the ability to, oh wait, what he just said makes sense to me. That's who I'm gonna try to be more like, and it'll work for you. We're always failing forward. I'm a hot mess failing forward every day, but that at least people are gonna say, I like hanging out with the guy, you know, so anyway.
I love that.
I'm the king of getting us off track. It'll happen again.
No, you know what? It reminds me, because when I used to do all of my women's fitness events, and we would start talking about, you know, maybe the different parts that's, you know, appeared or felt kind of challenging or something for these shows, and women kind of, you know, start getting kind of tied into this, oh, it's kind of hard, or, you know, it's uncomfortable or something. And I'm like, but you chose to do this, right? No one's paying you. This is not a livelihood for you. This is you need to have fun. And if you're not having fun, you need to X out of this and find something else that you can choose to do as far as a hobby or something, right? Because, for the most part, the shows were just hobbies for women, very few people that make money off of them. So, but that same kind of concept, I used to tell people all the time, you are choosing to do this. So let's get out here and do your best, have fun. It's, get out of the box that you're normally in and make something fabulous out of it. So yeah, I love your attitude, of course. You've always been one of the best cheerleaders for me too. So I appreciate that. Okay. So then you graduate as this track athlete, and you guys are married with children. The old silly show. And then first of all, how did you find the obstacle course racing, or did it find you?
So like I said, I'd never, I kind of started realizing that I love staying fit and being able to run. And, I was always into playing a bunch of different sports, and I got back into track in my 30s and took it very, very serious. A wonderful coach, Jim Cawley, trained with Jim for about 8-9 years and competed and at the Masters track and field and whatnot as I started rolling in my 40s. But at 39 years old, here I'm in pretty darn good shape still. And this thing called Warrior Dash comes to town, and I'm like, I'll give that a try. And I was nail biting nervous. I mean, they had obstacles. You mean I've done a lot of trail racing, but we're going to do obstacles? So I went out there and did that, and I was hooked. I was like, oh, why would I ever run a 5K again, the local 5K, when I can go run on these trails and tackle obstacles? It's like I'm 8 years old, an 8-year-old kid again on the farm, just running through the woods. It was amazing. I immediately signed up for the Spartan race that came to town not too long afterwards. Then I found myself doing the Spartan Ultra Beast, which was 30 miles and like 70 obstacles. And then the following year, I did everything backwards. I went to the hardest stuff first, and I did the 72-hour death race, which was there 3 days, no sleep. And I raced as much as I could for about 4 years, every single thing you could do. I literally started my own business to try to generate more money so I could keep traveling all over the place. And I just fell in love with it. It was like millions of people have. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait a second, I'm running and I get obstacles. And it was basically a bunch of 20, 30, 40, 50, even 6-year-old people being kids again.
Right.
We got to go back to our roots of stomping in the mud puddles that we all loved to do when we were kids.
So right when I met you in 2011, I'm assuming is when that's right, when you started the obstacles, because then you started telling me about it.
That was my first race, my friend. Absolutely.
In 2011.
I was in full-blown geek mode. I was probably trying to sign you up that day, I'm sure.
I don't remember. I just know that I came to do Kick Mo's butt, and I'm not sure if we lost Claudia because I don't know how to get back in here. But let's see if I can do. Oh, there we go. Look I did that too. Okay, so we meet in 2011, and I'm there running with you. I come do Kick Mo's butt with you, mm-hmm. And you started talking about track, and you said, "Come do a track workout." Came to a track workout the following Sunday, and then I'm hooked on. Oh, I gotta go get on the track meet. Go into the track meet. Mm-hmm. So you send me in this track direction, and I loved it. Loved everything about it. Going to the the big events, the invitationals, and getting to the worlds and all of that. And then track ended for me because I think basically for me, I ended up with being at the barn more, coaching and working, and all the things that kind of started flooding my life at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not being able to train the way I wanted to train for track. And so I kind of got lost. And then I came to you. I'm like, so Yancy, help. Remember? I'm like, I need something. And you were like, I got the perfect thing, OCR. And I'm like, what is OCR? And you're like, obstacle course racing. I'm like, well, that makes sense. And so you send me on this wild goose chase and start coaching me for obstacle course racing. Send me over to David Yarder so I could practice on his awesome place. And of course, I'm driving up to work with you once a week. Mm-hmm. I think that ended, and that was about what we started that at 5 or 5:30 and over about 8 o'clock. So, by the time we did both of those workouts.
Yep. I remember.
Oh my gosh. So that was that the beginning of Yancey Camp? Like what you have? I know you have Yancey Camp online, but all of that training and coaching in person? That was original AntiCamp, right?
So for about 13 years in Austin and Cedar Park, I coached large group outdoor boot camps and had an absolute blast. One of the greatest things I was ever able to do in fitness. And I was reinvigorated with all things fitness. And I started my own company doing that. And then for 16 years, I was knee deep in the corporate world. When I got out of the military, even when I was right out of the military, I dove in the corporate world, managing general manager at places all over. And I was moonlighting. I got my first personal training job as a YMCA at the YMCA. And I was personal training, moonlighting, and fitness the entire time I was in the corporate world, basically.
My.
And, but I started Yancey Camp. It's a funny story. So I was racing and I picked up a couple very high level Spartan pro team clients. Back then, nobody really had a coach. Well, I had raced as much as I could. And after a few races, I was like, man, I would love to coach people in this. So I dove in, I got my hands on all the obstacles, and I got a couple of high level clients. And in 2014, they dominated at World Championships. One of them there was 3 races. One of them took a third, and a fourth, and the other took a first, third, and a fifth. And they were like, oh my gosh, what are you guys doing? Well, we're working with our coach Yancy. And over the next year, my business boomed. 2015, shortly after that World Championships, I launched YancyCamp.com. And a few years later, I had 600 plus clients online. And, I lost a decent percentage of clients because of COVID, but I still have hundreds of clients all over the globe that I coach and have been coaching since 2015. So it's been 6 years, and it gave me an opportunity. I was coaching about 25 people, and as an online coach, you quickly realize that if you take on many more, you're going to dilute your program. I said, I've got to come up with a way where I can serve way more people. So with my program, I allowed people to team up with myself as the coach and one of the pro level athletes I was coaching. And you got to see how I was programming for them. I'd give you 3 to 4 workouts a week, and then they were could easily be scaled down. And that's when Yancey Camp took off. And that's, I've been doing that ever since. And I've got a lot going on, but since 2014, that's been a big part of my life.
Well, you've done a really good job with Yancey Camp, and I know that takes
thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, there it is. She's good. She's quick on the draw. So, is Yancey Camp still your main focus? Or do you have? I know you've got some other coaches now with that too, right? So you still have a handful of other coaches that work with you on that.
Yeah, I have a lot going on, I do have a few other coaches on the platform. Most of the clients are OCR, but I work with Spartan Race as the program director for Spartan DECA. I'd love if we spend 2 minutes talking about that, it wouldn't bother me.
No, I wanted to get there, so we're just kind of going down my list of all of the all the things you've done. So I have that on my list. Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about that.
I've had the wonderful opportunity to work for the company that the shirt I'm wearing, HumanN, and the super cool thing is you were able to join the team as well, and that has been an absolute wonderful experience. It's a health and wellness and supplement company here in Austin, Texas, that just they're doing it the right way. As we know in the fitness community, you and I both, some in the supplement company in the supplement world do not do it the right way.
Right.
And there's a lot of people trying to make a lot of money quick, and like where they go. HumanN is just anybody listening, go check them out, because they are an amazing company, a husband and wife team, Joel and Emery, and I've been working with them since late 2012. Been working with Spartan for a long time. Have a lot of fun irons in the fire. I always tell people, never close a door, because never burn a bridge, because you just never know. And a lot of times you'll find opportunities just by hard work and showing people that you respect what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I've never been one to just I've never been that person that's like, okay, just find my job and just tunnel vision, just go to work and do my job. It's like I said, even when I was in the corporate world, I was moonlighting in fitness, and I just love having a lot of irons in the fire. It just kind of fits my crazy, wild personality.
Struggling.
Yeah. To a fault sometimes. My wife is my wonderful wife is the structure in the family. So we make a good team.
Well, speaking of, how do you guys actually find time to dedicate to one another as a couple? Because that is important.
We've been lucky. She is my wife is the director of sports performance nutrition for the University of Texas athletic department. She takes care of 600 athletes there approximately in a lot of sports and works with all the coaches for all the different male and female sports. She's also the president of the CPSDA, the College of Professional Sports Dietetic Association. So my wife, Amy, is an amazing very well-respected registered dietitian. And we've been able to collaborate on some fun business ventures together where I'm the fitness side and she's the nutrition side. So we've been able to work together. We have, with the two kids, and we just, we have an amazing life. And she's, true stories. This is kind of funny. Her mom was my home economics teacher in high school. When I was a senior, Amy was in middle school. I didn't even know Amy, but her mom, Joni, was my home economics teacher. And here in a couple of weeks, we will be at her brother's wedding. Her brother John's getting married. And I learned how to change diapers and cook and sew and everything in Joni's class. And I will be at her brother's wedding. And in 1986, 87, I was in home economics class changing his diapers. Joni taught home economics for 40 plus years.
And brought her own child in.
He brought her own child in for child training.
She's brave.
But she was just here taking care of the kids when I was traveling. But
oh my gosh.
My wife Amy's an absolute rock star. Oh my gosh. Claudia, you win the day.
Isn't that a beautiful picture?
At our lake vacation 2 years ago, we go to the lake every year with all the family. So super cool. That's Lily, Scout, Amy, and of course me.
Yes, families first, for sure. So what do you guys, how do you guys set aside time? Do you have some kind of ritual, or like, hey, it's been 2 weeks, let's go on date night? Or, do y'all have anything set up like that?
We try to do Thursday date nights.
Okay.
That doesn't always happen. We have a little pizza house across the way that has wonderful wine and pizza, and there's a million places we could go in Austin, and we try some of the one. Austin has an amazing food scene, but we normally find ourselves having our favorite pizza and some wine there. And Amy's she's amazing. We just got back from a wonderful ski vacation to Keystone, and we love adventurous vacations. We're getting ready to do a little remodeling job at the house, and we're trying to find an inexpensive way to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks and just live on the land and do adventurous things together. Amy always laughs is when my husband says, we'll be on some adventure. And when he says, trust me, kids, that better mean you better be ready, because we're getting ready to do something that could be wild and crazy, because we're always doing a lot of fun adventures anytime we're traveling, and even local. So, but are the kids into any racing right now? Are they doing any Spartan stuff?
They've
all done numerous kids races. This is the first year at 14 my daughter could sign up for the adult Spartan race. She's knee deep, and she's cross country, track, basketball. So she just wrapped up track season. She loves running. I haven't figured out yet if I'm going to be able to get her to do the adult Spartans. Our parents didn't push us. They were just graciously led us to sports. And my wife and I've always done the same thing. And I think it's worked. If she never does a Spartan race, I'll be totally fine with it. We just do our best to really show them the great value in what we say, taking care of the beautiful machine, and always keeping, I definitely push them to always keep something on the calendar, be participating in something. And when that goes away, maybe in your 20s, 30s, that sign up for races, to do something that holds you accountable to not letting the beautiful machine go. Because fitness is so, you being a fitness icon and me being in fitness my whole life, we both understand that, you know, now I'm almost 50, you're 50, you know, we're about the same age. It's nice to all the listeners out there that may not be the best version of yourself, or maybe you've let yourself go a little bit. Maybe this is our get into a little mental conditioning here.
Yeah, that's right.
I know I can speak for you when I say it feels good at almost 50 to say, you know what, I don't care if we're going to go snow skiing for a week, or we're going to go hike the Grand Canyon, or we're going to go this or this, to be able to have, because you take care of yourself, you can say yes to those things. And eventually that'll turn into us being 60, 70, and maybe grandkids, or we still want to say yes to all the stuff.
Right.
And that's, you know, we don't get a lot of time on this beautiful rock of ours. It is short, and this is our mode of transportation, and it's so important to take care of it. And, you know, and I know it's probably one of your legacies. Both of us want to be known for people saying, well, you know, they led people to fitness.
Right.
And that's if that's the only thing I'm remembered for, or one of the most important things I remember for, then that's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, you're an athlete, and you're a very competitive athlete. I'm curious, are you, because I think about how I'm competitive, but I'm more competitive against myself sometimes than thinking about someone else. Right. I've never sat there and gone, well, I got to beat this person or that, or I got to, you know, I just know that I either had to be faster, or I had to be able to get through the obstacles better than I did the first time before, or, you know, I had to come in a little leaner with, you know, different structure if I could. So, you know, whatever the case, back when I did fitness, I had to be better at the routine round. So, but I never compared myself to someone else. So are you the type of athlete that thinks about like just bettering yourself every time, or were there trigger people that you would race against in a fun, friendly way that you're like, man, I got to beat this person because, you know, that would be really cool for me to think, you know, that I was able to conquer that.
Yeah. If I'm on the true serum honesty here, I am radically competitive. Now, before the race starts and the moment the race is over, there is not a drop of sore loser in me. I'm like all about celebrating fitness. I mean, it's just innate in me. If we're playing Monopoly, or if we're running a race,
you're that person.
I'm not going to be hateful about it, but I'm doing everything in my mind and body to beat you. And if I lose, I'm going to be gracious about it, but I want to win. I love competition. And I think I've lost more than I've won. Mm-hmm. And everybody, there's nobody that wins all the time. And that losing is good, but there's something special about the workout and the training and how, I mean, some people, like at DEKA, we call it celebrating fitness. We don't call it exercise. We call it training. When you always have something on the calendar, which is important, you don't have to call it exercise anymore. It's training. That's why we always push people to get something on the calendar. It's why we created DEKA, to create something for all levels of fitness. But I'll get back to my point here is there's something magical. It's maybe one of the most powerful drugs on the planet and so many that have ever tried what I'm about to say, that they get it, is when you're in that unbelievably painful situation where you're pushing your body to the brink, and you even second guess yourself, like, whoa, it's so painful. Why am I even doing this?
Right.
But you're done. And usually 5 minutes after you're done, it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And, and definitely by the next day, you're like, where's the next one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is next?
Right.
It's like that roller coaster ride it's a healthy addiction.
Right.
So I always encourage people I would always graciously push my clients, and I still do, to let's keep something on the calendar, because it's going to keep you honest with taking care of the beautiful machine. I've always realized that I don't think I've ever met a person that at least didn't have a little bit of competitive juices start to come out when they get a few races under their belt. We all have different, like, I'm trying to win. And a lot of people are like, honestly, they're like, I'm really not trying to win, but they still, it's an official race, and you had to walk up to a start line, or you had to get up on the stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's all that, like, whoa, I had to work hard for this. And every one of those medals and trophies and things we see, I always tell people, this question pops up sometimes. I see it's like, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. I was like, don't do that. One, you may have a kid one day, and that medal is going to be this big for them. My dad's medals were so big to me. Every trophy he had, I thought he was the greatest. He was like Captain America to me. And my kids come in and look at that. But every one of those signify, for every hour that you race or for every 30 minutes that you're on the stage, there's thousands of hours of preparation and taking care of the beautiful machine to be the best version of yourself. So maybe you could win, or maybe you got ninth. Who cares? You became a little better of yourself every single time you walked into that gym. And as we get older, you realize that, okay, now some of the benefit is I kept fitness in my life. And now I can still use this old body of mine to have fun navigating this beautiful planet of ours throughout the remainder of my life. When a lot of people, and I love serving people that have let themselves go and try to, it's fun coaching the elites, but it's even more fun coaching those people that's like, I'm going to keep working with you, and we're going to become, one step at a time, we're going to become a little better version of ourselves, and we're going to see change. You're going to commit. You're going to commit to the fitness, and it'll slowly start to pay off. And fitness is amazing. It's one of the greatest things that you and I being believers, it's one of the greatest gifts we were given at birth is like a body to use it. And years ago, it wasn't fitness. It was just basic survival, but there are a lot of fun sports we can do and things we can do to celebrate fitness with our beautiful machine, my friend.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love your attitude. So let's talk about DEKA and where that came from, where it came from.
DEKA is one of the greatest. It's provided me one of the greatest opportunities and the most excited I've ever been in my life to celebrate fitness. I know I say that a lot. I'm gonna get to where that came from. So I'm sitting in Joe DeCenna's house. Joe DeCenna is the founder CEO of Spartan Race. I've worked with Joe for a long time. Met him in 2013 during that 72-hour death race, 30, 40 hours. And we're talking fitness. Here's the guy driving me into the ground with this race. I love Joe to death. He's lived a life of trying to serve people. And I'm sitting in his kitchen in 2019, November. And I'm like, Joe, we've pulled 7 million people off the couch with the mud, the barbed wire, and the obstacles. But listen, here's the fact. What I'm about to say is not debatable. 95% of the people walking the planet we're never going to get them to the mud and the barbed wire and the obstacles. Let's create something that is for the other 95%. Research shows that a vast majority of people have never towed a start line in their life. They didn't grow up playing sports in middle school, high school, college, 20s, 30s, 40s. They've never competed in anything, or it's been a long, long time. They're overweight and unfit, and they kind of let themselves go. Let's create something that's for every single one of them. Low barrier of entry, but in the same arena on the same day using the exact same fitness standards. All levels of fitness can come in and enjoy it. The elites, the semi-elites, the competitive, the average, and the very unfit. And it took about 2 months. I basically put together 10 fitness exercises, training zones, whatever you want to call it. You can call it whatever you want, but it's these 10 exercise zones. And I based them on extremely rudimentary fitness standards and moves, exercises, training modalities. And think 2 or 3,000 years ago when it wasn't exercise, like I said, it was just survival. All 10 of these, if you and I pull in 1,000 people off the street in San Antonio or in Austin, and 99% of them have never done any fitness in their life, every single one of them, because the movements are so basic, they would be able to complete them day one. Mm-hmm. And so we built what's called Spartan DEKA, and it allowed, and we launched an affiliate program. We now have hundreds of gyms across the country that affiliate with us, and that allows you to put on Spartan DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile events. DEKA Strong is our activation where it's the 10 zones with no running. DEKA Mile, we precede those same 10 zones with 160 meters of running. So when you're done, you've run a mile. And then we have our big Super Bowl of fitness event, DEKA Fit, where we precede those same 10 zones with 500 meters. When you've done, you've run a 5K. The DEKA Strong, we've had 120 events across the country in brick and mortar gym facilities where 50 to 100 people sign up for this event, and they come to that event in the gym and they compete. And Monica, it's been, in a good way, tear-jerking amazing, because 70, 80% of these people They're overweight. They're unfit. They're the people we've talking about that have never towed a start line, or they're 45 and they haven't done it since middle school or high school. And right now, about 99.2% of them are completing these races. And it's pure magic because you're seeing them light up and it's like, I can't believe I did that. And it's in the same gym in that same day, these cyborgs are coming in and doing it right beside them. They're doing it in the same arena. So all levels are what we call celebrating fitness. So we wanted to provide that very low barrier of entry for all levels. So, and we like to say everybody deserves to be tested. And here's what happens. We see the marathon, we see the triathlons, we see the Spartan races and the American Ninja Warrior and the Tough Mudder and all this, the Murph and all these crazy things that everybody's heard of. But listen, folks, news alert, 99% of people walking the planet can't do those things. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think, well, 1,000 people signed up, so I guess everybody does this. No, most people don't. We created DEKA for all those other people, and you elites and you 1%ers, you can all come enjoy it with us if you want, but we didn't create it for you. It's because we believe everybody deserves to be tested. Everybody deserves to celebrate fitness, and that's who it's for. So it has been the most amazing experience. I have been in gyms all over the country, mostly during COVID. We were able to provide, social distancing. In many cases, masks were being worn until you were able to get out on course. We were able to navigate it. I went inside. I've been in thousands of gyms. I went in more gyms during COVID than probably my whole life, and gyms all over the country. And our affiliate program is blowing up in amazing fashion. So Spartan DEKA has, I could die tomorrow and I'd be a happy man because it hit. Like before that, I had lived a life of serving people through fitness, and that has just graduated up to such a higher level with the amazing opportunities that Spartan DEKA has provided me. So basically our amazing CEO said, let me get out of the way and let you guys do this. And it's been a blast. So mad shout out to everybody in the Spartan world and on those teams that have helped us get it to where we are. And my friend Monica Brandt earned her Spartan DEKA strong mark at Hit Athletic with Deja a couple weeks ago. Yep. The second time I was able to kick Mo's butt, and that was such a great day for me because it kind of all came full circle and you got to experience it.
I really enjoyed it too. And since then I've gotten back on the rower, doing my sprint stuff on the rower a few times, and done some farmers carries and trying to, play around with some of that. Just kind of inspired me to do more of that. So I was on the rower today, and I was like, I'm going to just keep training, and then maybe I can get back over, in the next few weeks or a couple months and get over and do one again over, because you said here in San Antonio, there's a course, right?
June 5th, Hit Athletic, we're doing DEKA Mile, the exact thing you did.
Oh, okay.
We will precede it by 160 meters running. But yes, Iron Fit in San Antonio, just a stone's throw from you, is one of our San Antonio Spartan DEKA Strong affiliate gyms. And they would open their doors to you, my friend.
Yeah, so you've got to hook me up with him so I can get in there, because I want to plan. I have to plan things so far in advance for myself. But Deja and I are actually coming back up this week for another Kick Mo's Butt. And she was all ready to go try her hand. I don't remember where we're going right now, but another Austin greatness, just trying to celebrate all the places in Austin that are open and rolling and, ready for people to come in. So I'm excited about that. But so what is the Spartan RAM Director of Education? What is that?
We actually say it's Spartan RAM.
RAM. Okay.
RAM stands for Recovery and Move. I partnered with an amazing group of two men based in Ireland who created, they're all outside. I would show you. They created the RAM. It is a fitness tool made out of 100% recycled car tires. It is an amazing, if you see it from a distance, you would think it was a foam roller, but they're all different, 11, 22, 33, 44, and 55 pound RAMs. The unique pound is because overseas that's in kilograms. And they've in 2019, I introduced it to Joe DeSena. I met them in 2017 at the Ideal World Fitness Conference. You've heard it, Ideal World. Mm-hmm. And they brought one to the booth. I'm a master's coach for power systems, and they brought one by the booth, and I was like, what my whole world stopped. I was like, what is this amazing thing? And I'm strength training with it. I'm rolling with it. I'm doing body maintenance with it. I'm tempering with it. And they're like, oh, we saw a lot of them over in Ireland. And since that day, I have not stopped working aggressively with helping them get it on a fast track here in the country. We got it in the Spartan races in 2019. Like 2 million Spartan Ram burpees were done in Spartan stadium races.
Okay, that's what you had at the DEKA. That I
yes,
did. I used.
Zone 1 and Zone 10 with a Spartan Ram. So that's right. You've seen them. You've had your hands on them.
Spartan burpees. So, the Ram burpees.
Ram burpees. And like I said, they're made out of 100% recycled materials. And we have since it's on a fast track. We have sold thousands of them. They're becoming more and more common in the gym communities because as a gym owner, to have a really cool indestructible strength training tool, it's kind of cool looking. And to be able, when your workout's over, to be able to do body maintenance with it, roll out your muscles or temper your muscles. Tempering is a lot more popular over in Europe than it is here, but it's getting more popular in the States. But so to have this 2-in-1 tool, there's gyms are starting to catch on, and it's so I've formally teamed with them, and we've built a certification program. And yeah, I guess my official title is the director of education for Spartan Ram, but Spartan is actually an equity owner in the Ram. So yeah, that's all about the Spartan Ram.
Okay. Well, I love that. It was a great tool. I guess it's I've used a kettlebell on my legs a few times, like to kind of instead of rolling. That's tempering, right? Then instead of rolling, you're using something heavy to kind of maneuver through the muscle. Yeah,
exactly right.
That feels so good. I'm like, awesome. Okay, so we have a little bit of time left, and I have I've got rapid fire questions for you. But before that, I just wanted to take maybe 5 minutes and ask you a couple questions that have to do with health and fitness, and then just have you kind of your first quick answer on it, like what you think of it. And then I want to do our fun rapid fire questions. And okay. One thing I did want to talk to you about, but I know our time is so limited. And of course, you are a cancer survivor, and I want you to know how important that is to me that you have survived. And I know, that you went through treatments and all that, but I just have to say that your faith, I'm assuming your faith and your attitude about it probably is what has kept you here. Would you say that is true? Yeah.
To just a shout out to any survivors that are listening. It was an amazing journey. And, I'll never forget the day when when you're made aware. It was a call from my gastroenterologist that Yancy, I went in and had a routine colonoscopy, and he's like, we found cancer, and it was, you're launched into a 9-month roller coaster ride that included very aggressive surgery and chemotherapy. And I always say I'm that advocate now. Just about all cancers have testing out there, and I'm always pushing people. If I had a nickel for every friend that I have that's since got a colonoscopy because of me, then I could probably fill a mason jar with friends and just people that I know, because I'm always pushing to get to do your cancer screening. There was a, if you go into cancer, with as a Christian, it's magnified. Prayer is magnified. You realize that I quickly realized that, one, everything in my life that I thought I was doing good. I had my what together. It's like, no, I didn't have it together. I was a hot mess. And you're just constantly in this, when you're on chemo, the rug is ripped out from under you so bad, and you're just kind of in survival mode. But it's amazing reflection. And it's hard to talk about because a lot of people don't make it through it. But I think everybody that's made it through it I can almost speak for them. There's this level of, you're just at your deepest, darkest. My Labrador retriever is dragging me up the stairs, but there's good to be found in that. And I kind of get to rambling when I talk about it, because it was such a roller coaster ride that, you find things out about yourself, but you also, when you're done, you can fall back into old ruts. And I try to, I'll have bad days where I'm not being a good version of myself, and I try to lean in on that. Don't forget where you were in that time, and those things where you found yourself daily talking to yourself about how beautiful life is. And I remember, I think I've only said this a few times, but I remember finding total peace with death, with myself. And the only reason that you would get I would find myself becoming very emotional is because you didn't want to leave your wife and your kids. But because of my faith, and because of, I was not always a believer, and I think I would have definitely had a different experience had I maybe had cancer before my, mid 30s, when I, late 30s, when I found my way. I would say that I know it would have been a different experience. But yeah, there was definitely some days when you just, for lack of better terms, you leaned in pretty darn heavily on that. My 72-hour death race, I leaned in really heavy on that. There was times when, I had done something in my life that was very miserable, and I laughed at it, and it's like, it sounds crazy, but I leaned in on that. There was I've been very, very miserable before, but it's a hard thing to talk about, because I know it's so prevalent that there's listeners right now that they're dealing with it, or they have a family member dealing with it. So it's tough. It's tough to have a real genuine conversation about it, to be honest, because I know there's so many people that there's nothing special about me, man. It's very common. I was just lucky enough to find it early, stage 3, and had a wonderful aggressive surgery, and then dive into chemotherapy, and everything worked. I always do tell people, I was like, when I become that, throwing a little mental conditioning coach, is like, listen, folks, take care of yourself, because you could be hit with it, and you'll be a little better off if you just try to get on that fitness journey now. So if you do get hit with it, your body's a little more prepared to tackle it. So for anybody out there dealing with it, man, much love and prayer to you. If you or your family member is dealing with it right now. I'm sorry, I went really long on that, Monica.
Well, it's fine. I mean, I'm not concerned about the time. I know that you have family and other things and people listening, but it is such a powerful story, a part of your story, right? I mean, I remember hearing about that, and it was just like, Yancy, like how does Yancy have cancer? Like, it just doesn't seem real. And so, and just being your friend, I know my heart and my prayers were out for you, but I can't imagine walking through that.
Let me say one more important thing on that. And I remember one thing that was very clear is you're talking to people that have been, that are survivors, or maybe they've had a near-death experience. We have this deep desire to want to convince people that you do not have to go through that to see some of the things and realize some of the things that we saw along that path. Or it's like that crazy wake up moment. It's like, whoa, why didn't I think about that before, where my life was almost stripped from me? And you definitely become at least a little better version of yourself, I think. So we have this desire, at least I had this crazy desire to want to reach out to people. And I remember there was like a couple months where I was like radically reaching out to people. Like, you don't have to go through it. Let's find a way for you to realize how beautiful and precious life is right now.
Right. You
don't have to go through the crazy journey. And I'll be honest, I think that slipped a little bit. And this just having this conversation has reinvigorated me to just remind myself that it's right now, this moment, this day, you got to pinch the life out of every second you get, because it's so wildly, it's such a beautiful, enjoyable experience we get here as we get a little time on this rock.
And then we have to return these bodies sometime, right? Like I don't know that we get to keep these bodies forever. I think when we're in heaven, we get new bodies. So I'm going with that. Wow. Okay. Just beautiful. I love your attitude, and you're always so uplifting for other people. So I appreciate that about you so much. Okay. So is there anything else that you want to chat about? I know we talked about Spartan and there's so many different pieces. I know you've got the DEKA Spartan Up podcast, excuse me.
Yeah.
So how often do you do that?
My brother Jared Cogswell, when Joe and I and Spartan launched DECA, it was like day one we launched it, and he's like, wait a second, who do we have that can help us manage this? And I said, I know a guy. Jared's one of the most amazing fitness guys. Jared managed. I'll give you one of Jared's resume, bullet points. For 14 years, Jared managed one of the largest gyms on the West Coast. We're talking those gyms where 4,000 to 5,000 people come in every single day, 7 days. Amazing. He knows fitness like nobody else, more than me. And I know fitness pretty well. And I said, I know a guy that can help us. And from that day forward, Jared and I we actually met in 2018 working together for the U.S. Army as Ball Strong coaches at Fort Bragg. But brought Jared on board. He's my co-host. And about once a week, we have amazing guests on. We just had Kevin Curry, Fitman Cook on. We just did an amazing episode where it was just the two of us, and the entire episode, you guys go listen. All you have to do is search Spartan Up DECA Series podcast, and we just did one on the power of celebrating fitness. It's one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, but we have a blast with it. We both have. Let's just say neither one of us have any problem bringing a lot of energy. Pull the roof off of the energy factor. So it may not be for everybody, but we have a lot of fun with the Spartan Up podcast. And if you know the podcast world, we pinch ourselves because we were very lucky that we got the Spartan Up podcast is a big podcast, and we got to join in and become a part of that with the DECA series. So we have the blessing of having a lot of listeners that we didn't have to build that from grassroots organic. And but we love it, man. I absolutely love getting behind the laptop and shooting that and communicating the people and providing the best message we can provide to them to fire them up, get them a little more engaged with fitness.
Yes. Well, I just went today and subscribed and liked and all that. So I'm going to have to be tuning in and listening in a little bit. So, okay. So I'm going to take a couple things here, and I'm just going to ask you, how do you feel about XYZ? And I just, you can give me a quick answer, just kind of like, let's say you had a handful of sentences that you could say about whatever it is. Right. Okay. So how do you feel about intermittent fasting?
Intermittent fasting. As you know, I live with an amazing, well-respected dietitian. And as an athlete, I've been an athlete my entire life, and especially since I've known my wife, and it's something I've never tried, never practiced, never been coached to try. I'm always looked at food as fuel, food being fuel. That's what my wife, that's the language she coaches me to coach my clients on. And I've always taken that. This is what I tell. Gosh dang it. I knew I'm going to get too long-winded. I promise I'll keep it short, Monica. I always look at it this way as a personal trainer, group fitness coach in general. We're really coaching the fitness hard. The planes of motion, the movements, the joints, the muscles. I coach that hard. I love that. That's kind of my, my expertise. But when it comes to nutrition, I coach it real hard at a 5th grade level. Never get above a 6th grade level because I want to respect the professional on the nutrition side. And I never coach nutrition above that 5th or 6th grade level. And I think that's the most important thing. So, and I know I kind of beat around the bush in the answer.
Oh, that's all right.
It's not something that I've ever practiced. And I'm going to say the right answer. if you have a question about intermittent fasting, I want you to reach out to my wife because she's gonna give you her answer, and her answer is gonna be better than mine.
All good, all good. So yeah, I've been doing fasting for quite a few years. I love it, and it's definitely not something for the high level endurance and all of that, but it's good for the off days. That's what I'll leave it at that. But if you ever want to brainstorm about it, I'm happy to talk about it.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. How about how to get stronger for the rig?
Oh, the rig.
Yeah.
So when obstacle course racing first came around, and even American Ninja Warrior, let's just say there was nowhere near as many people that have now developed amazing grip and pull strength endurance. And in the Spartan world, and in the other OCR world, the other typical races, everybody was failing. So many people, 90% of the elites were failing a lot of obstacles. I grew up on a farm. I always had strong grip and loved carrying things and farmers carry and stuff. And I did really well in the obstacles. And what I quickly realized is that a lot of people didn't grow up in the world of working from 0 to 18, working with the hands, and they didn't have grip and pull strength endurance. Well, that's what was causing most of the obstacle failure. So we needed to start working it. And you also needed to start working it with a high heart rate. Even in American Ninja Warrior, a lot of times your heart rate's up because you've been on the course for 2 or 3 minutes in an anaerobic fashion, an OCR. Now you're hitting these rigs an hour or 20, 30 minutes into a race, and it's the 7th thing you've hit. So not only do you need grip strength, you need the ability to flush that lactic out of the forearms and the grip and still tackle that last obstacle out on course. So we simply needed to start working it. So I was creating workouts for people to get up on the bars and creating unique ways to train the grip in the typical gym. Most people can't go to an American Ninja Warrior and OCR gym. They go to a typical gym. So I've had a blast teaching people how to work the grip and pull strength in their gym or in their backyard for that matter.
Well, you had me doing pull-ups, and I believe you had me using the rope like you would use for try. And I actually got really strong on those. Yeah, I got strong on those. I need to get back to them. Okay. Last question, and then we're going to go to, and I've got a dachshund licking my leg. She wants to go out probably. Last question. And then I want to switch over and just go fun with the rapid fire questions. Okay. Sleep. Let's talk about sleep, the importance of it. Anything you want to share about sleep? Because I know it's one of the most important things that we can do for everything in our body. What do you think?
First thing, it's not something that I've perfected, and I can definitely get better at. Once I fall asleep, I'm a pretty good sleeper, but I've never been professionally diagnosed, but let's just say Yancy probably has at least a minor case of ADD, and my brain is always turned on thinking about 19 different things. So what happens there is I have trouble turning that off, and then when I do go to sleep, if something wakes me up, that's when I get in trouble. Sleep is so radically important. When I'm able to stack 4, 5, 6 days of good sleep together, I feel my performance improve. I'm probably an average sleeper, and I'll put myself in the truth serum. I know I need to do better at, shutting off the screens and turning the brain off and shutting down the laptop. I love work so stinking much. And I love communicating with my people and my network and my clients. And so I do struggle. So I do have a few things in my life that I need to prove on that I know would help my sleep, but I'm really good at preaching it to my clients. Let me tell you, I push it hard. I just don't always practice what I preach.
I hear you. It's hard. I mean, because there's the family. If you lived by yourself, it'd be different. You would have a little more time. But, when you've got family around and you want to spend time with them and you're trying to work with clients and then, eat and all the things, it's hard to find that.
I'll sneak back in my kid's bedroom like 3 extra times just because I want to see them one more time. And I'm like, maybe they're not asleep yet. I got to go tell them I love them one more time, and we'll start talking about something. So we're not the type to kids. It's 8 o'clock. Get to bed right now. We break all the rules. Just life.
Okay, so speaking of, let's go to rapid fire and as fast as possible. I've got 10 questions. If you had 30 to 45 minutes off during the day, what would you do with that time off? No work. you're like, wow, I found 30 to 45 minutes. Would you take a nap? Would you take a walk? Would you?
I'm totally tracking. I'm gonna be true serum awesome with all of them. I would definitely use part of that time for training, and I would want to spend more time with my family together. I would take half of it where I was like, I would say they're going to get the time with me. We're going to do something fun together, but I'm going to take some of it for an extra workout.
No rest. Just go work. Okay. Name one thing Amy does that makes you feel respected.
She will make little comments. Like I'll post something on social media and she'll make a comment like, that's my guy, or I'm so proud of him, or I'm a words of affirmation guy. If you know 5 love languages, I'm a words of affirmation guy.
Okay.
When, I'm a like 7 foot tall and bulletproof. When I get something, get a little love for something I did or how I did it, it's like, yeah, that's
awesome. She knows that. She knows you well. Okay. Yeah. Your favorite holiday tradition with the Culp family?
Oh,
only one. You probably have a bunch. Only one.
Our Easter photo in our backyard by our rose bushes. We've done it like 10 years in a row, and it's always, and the family keeps growing now. More kids are coming and the roses are blooming. Even after our crazy Texas freeze this year, we still had half my roses were blooming. The other half was dead. It's like, well, that's kind of tells what that's like. COVID's good. We're getting out of it. COVID was terrible. Our rose bushes kind of signified how COVID was, but that's it. Easter Sunday, the family picture in our backyard.
Okay. If you could go back to either your 20s or your 30s, which decade would you go to?
Oh, 30s first. 30s and 40s before 30s.
Okay. List 3 things you have to remind your kids to do every day.
Oh, 2 totally different. My son's a scatterbrain like me. I need to remind him to breathe. He got to remind him of everything. I love that little crazy kid. So him, it's like reminding him that you got to get dressed, you got to put your shoes on, you got to put your shoes up, you got to eat, all the stuff he has to do because his brain's working like mine. And my daughter, she is, Monica.
You don't have to remind her of anything.
My wife's listening back here. She is like, how in the world did we get? She's just she probably, we don't want her to hear this right now. She is amazing. We have never helped that girl with an ounce of homework. We're hands off. We can't even, it's like, well, you just crushing life. And Scout.
I got this, Dad.
She's got it. But we're all different in life, right? And and they're as different as Amy. And I'm a little more Scout, and Lily's a little more Amy for sure.
Favorite naughty food?
Oh, we call them fun foods, and we call them fun food. My favorite fun food. Oh my, we could have so much fun with this. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple. Oh. I love jalapeno chips and 100% whole fat Greek yogurt. Oh my gosh. Pimento cheese sandwiches, Fritos with hot bean dip. Gotta be hot bean dip.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Fried crappie and fried crappie. My father-in-law's fried crappie.
You're gonna make yourself hungry. Your favorite Spartan obstacle and your least favorite Spartan obstacle.
Least favorite, the spear throw, because I normally always hit it, but I just don't feel like it's really it's anyway, another story. Yeah. And my favorite is the really tough rigs, because I've always been able to, they've never given me that much trouble, so I can make up some. So when somebody is faster than me running, they're in the burpee pit, I can pass them up because I'll conquer that obstacle. Okay.
Quick side note before we finish these questions. Remember you had me do Spartan the first time. It was 2 races back to back with a week in between. And they were up in Burnett in the, cold, wet temperatures. And the first one I came to had no idea what to expect. I was so overtrained. I had all of my hands were banged up. So I missed I ended up doing 120 burpees.
4 obstacles, yeah.
4 obstacles. So it was, spear, rig, and I think I didn't make the rope that day. It was wet, and then I don't remember what the other one was. But miserable, exhausted, and you and I kind of put our heads together going, okay. And you told me this week in between, because I was coming back for the exact same race the next weekend, and you said, take this week off. And I was like, what? And you're like, take it off. Don't do any obstacles. And you gave me this kind of easy plan.
Yeah.
And maybe there was one day of the little running and burpees. I don't even know, but it was like nothing. And I was so stressed going, well, my hands healed up and my body healed up, and I came back and I only missed the spear throw in one of the the next weekend. And I don't remember, my time was like 45 minutes faster or something crazy.
Yeah.
An hour. I don't remember right now, but I felt so invigorated because I got up the rope. I did everything and my hands were not hurting. I think there was one little spot that was still, but the rig, I was able to get the rig. And that one makes me choke up too, because I remember the first time I just couldn't do it. I was, worn out, exhausted, everything else. Well, the second weekend I come on there and it was almost like I got to the rig. There were no other competitors at the moment that I was there. And all of the guys that were working, there was like 30 guys there working. I don't know, 20 guys. There was always a ton of them at that particular. And I get there and I'm the only one that's there to go on it. And it was my nemesis, because it was the hardest one for me the time before. And I was looking at it and I just inside, I was like, I have got to do this. I can do this. I've got to do this. And so I got up there and I just took my time and I breathed and I thought about all the coaching you had given me, like, how the thing, the words go through your mind. And those guys just started cheering for me. And all of a sudden I was at the end of it and jumped off and I was all like choked up and the guys were all high-fiving me and they're like, all right. So it's almost like the clouds opened up and that ray of sunshine on the obstacle that was like, it was really
amazing accomplishment.
Yeah,
I remember that day. I tell one of the hardest things when you coach high-level athletes is getting them to rest.
Yeah, well,
I find you don't have to coach many elite athletes to work harder. You got to get them to rest and performance improves. And I'll give you one little trick there. Some of my clients that struggle on the rig, I tell them, because this is what I do. I'm going to tell you, I don't tell many people this. When I go into an obstacle and I know it's going to be tough, I pretend I'm walking into a street fight and I'm going to get my ass kicked if I don't conquer it. I got to go in like a house of fire. And that obstacle suspended over a 100-foot cliff and I'm going to fall to my death. I get crazy with what I create, the visuals and so I find this, I'll find an extra gear. I'll find a little extra ounce of strength in these forearms and no matter what the obstacle is. And you got to get in the right mindset. And no matter how you find that mindset, I'm not saying you got to act like you're walking into a street fight, but whatever you do, don't touch that obstacle until you got the right mindset to conquer it.
Well, I think that's what I did that day. And it was just such a wonderful, like out of all of the ones, and that.
I lost you. Claudia's like, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Some button got hit, but I just remember I was so excited about that. And then of course I made it up the rope at the end and it was wet and everything. And so it was I was just like on, the top of the world having done that. It was really felt great.
One of the top 5 experiences for me as well, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So name one useless talent you secretly have, or do you have one? You tell everyone everything. So do you have any?
I can juggle. I
like it.
I can walk on my hands really well. If I'm not, I guess I don't have any CrossFit competitions coming up, so I don't need to use that. I've always been able to walk on my hands about as good as I can walk on my feet, and I can juggle.
It's interesting. My brother.
I got a Cajun accent.
Oh, really? Let's hear it. Oh, wait, don't show it. The last two questions you can answer with the Cajun accent.
All right, okay? That sounds good. No.
Okay, describe Yancy in 3 words as a teenager.
I like the way you put me on the spot with having me just like okay. He brought it up. I'm gonna make him answer these questions in his Cajun accent. Now, because I started thinking about my accent, you're gonna have to re-ask the question because I already forgot it.
Describe Yancy in 3 words as a teenager.
He's a wild, crazy kid. I'm speaking for my mom and my dad. He was always going 90 miles an hour. Corralling him was virtually impossible. He ran everywhere he went. We would be in the grocery store and he was running. It was impossible to corral this damn kid.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay. And this is your last question. The younger version of Yancy would prefer which of these 3, a country bar, a dance club, or an old country road? Like to go hang out with your friends and
that's a really hard question but I love that question for many reasons because this guy loves to dance. If you get, and I mean like some high tempo dancing. I love to country and western dance with my mother. We're a 2-stepping machine, but I love high energy dancing, and I can bust a groove all night long. Yancy at a wedding reception, you know when that kind of the good 80s tunes come on and even some of the Soul Train stuff, Yancy is dripping wet. 17 minutes in, I've already lost 3 pounds of water. I dance my ass off. But I also love a good old country road. I've probably annoyed every one of my family members more than once because if we're going from point A to point B and there's a freeway to get there, but a route that takes 45 minutes longer because there's an old country road, we're taking the old country road because I want to see something I've never seen before.
Right. Yeah. I'm the same. I love it. That's probably because we grew up like that, right?
Yeah.
This has been so fun. Okay.
Thank you, my friend.
So fun. It's fun to just hear all the things and, just get to relive some great memories with you. And so thankful you have Amy and your children are well and that you're here in front of me. So please give Amy my best and tell her thanks for letting us have you tonight for a little while. And
I will.
Yes, and I know Claudia put the
Thank you, Claudia. You're amazing.
Yes, and I know Claudia put your links up there, but you just want to remind anyone just verbally where people can find you. Oh, there's Twitter.
You can follow me at Yancy Culp on Instagram and Twitter. I'm never on Twitter, but I because of work stuff, I spend a lot of time on Instagram at Yancy Culp and Yancey Camp Official. And yeah, I do a lot of stuff on IG. That's how I communicate with a lot of my people through private messaging. And of course you can YanceyCamp.com for all things Yancy coaching. And I recently launched a training app. Yancey Camp is 100% app based now through the Train Heroic Yancey Camp app, and that has been so fun. So,
wow. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute pinch myself experience. I wasn't expecting it, and I feel very blessed to be on your show, my friend. I'm glad the good Lord upstairs had us cross paths 10 years ago, and you are a wonderful friend. And as they say, as Clancy said in one of my favorite movies of all time, you're welcome at my fire anytime. If you have a man from Snowy River, you ought to go watch it because it's a good flick. It's a good horse movie. It's one of the best horse movies ever. So
right.
Have shot in Australia. You and Brad should go watch it.
We have seen it and we love it. And of course, I got stuck on Lonesome Dove.
Oh gosh, right? So good.
When the snow was around, we watched that, and then we had people that were stuck here from California, and we watched it with them. So I got my fill for a little while, anyways. Yeah. All right, Yancy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll talk to you really, really soon.
Thank you, Claudia, behind the scenes.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was such a wonderful time with Yancy. You guys go check out everything that he's doing, and maybe you need to go give yourself a hand. Try your hand at and your feet and your whole body at DEKA Fit. So I know I'm going to be tackling that again here soon. And Cammie says thanks for joining, but she's ready to go pee. She just starts licking my leg, and I have to pick her up, otherwise she'll just keep licking my leg. So anyways, thank you to my sponsors for all that you do to help keep this show here. We thank you for the support, and we'll be back next week with all brand new show for you guys. Can't wait for that. Thank you, Claudia, for all you're doing here to help keep the show rolling and going behind the scenes. And let's take it away for the night.